What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to your channel dedicated to La Vecchia Signora, the AJC. And it is, as you can see there, Motta against all. In what seems like weird, strange timing, that kind of always seems the case when it comes down to it when we're talking about our ultras. But they kind of make it Motta against all right? But we have an opportunity to go 6 points from the top and total chaos around us. That's the only way we should do it. That just makes complete sense for Juve, all right? We're going to take a look at everything in the news and the build-up leading up to this game and talk about, beyond this game, another 11 matches, the performances of the clubs around us, how things could shape up, and what we want to see from this team down the final stretch. I got Paolo with me. Paolo, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. And then, as some of you already see and notice, we've got Sev making not his debut on the channel as he's come into post-match sessions, etc. But this is the first time we get him on for an actual pre-game pod, and actually a little bit more than that as he has joined the AJC team. All right, and Sev is responsible for that banging intro, all right, to the shows and everything, and we're happy to have you here. Sev, brother, how are you doing? And as tradition goes, when you make your true official debut, we want to hear the story how you became a Juventino. So, without further ado, let's rock and welcome aboard, brother.
Thank you very much. It's an honor. How long have I been a member now? Like about a year and a half, but I've been a fan of the show for like years and years and years. And the member thing is what really hooked me. And guys, off the bat, become members. Just become members with this thing. Like, it's really become a brotherhood. It's fun. It gets crazy in there, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun, and you learn a lot. I've learned a lot. The Juventino thing, God, that's been 1990. 1990, I was actually in Italy during the World Cup in Italy. I didn't go to any of the games, but it was just fun to watch the games and watch, like, all my cousins and uncles, like, just, like, be around it and get the craziness or whatever. And then I fell in love with that year, if you guys remember, Schillaci, Baggio, and then my cousins who were Juve fans used to have like pictures of like baseball cards on their walls of the kits and all that stuff, and I was like, just fell in love with it from there. And then, if you guys remember, years leading up after that, it was that Italian network Rai TV used to have like the game of the week on Sundays.
Yeah.
And if you'd get lucky enough to, you know, get a Juve game on or whatever, and I'd watch it with my grandfather and stuff like that, and then the rest is history.
There we go. Look at that. Look at that. And but yes, everybody's where everybody's giving out lovely welcome messages and Swarit. Yes, this is Muser 99. Yes, not to be mistaken how Skanga says it, Musser. There's two things Skanga can't get right. Musser and Cambiaso. All right. So there's two things he just can't get right, but that's one of them. Everybody in the chat, glad to see you in here. I see some of the discussions that we're starting off this show, and everybody's even asking us. Yes, we ran a little bit late. That's okay. All right. We got to make sure everything's good technically. But they said, are you guys still protesting at Continasa? Is that why we're late? I said, well, no. I would be protesting for blonde and brunette cheerleaders instead of ultras if that's the case. All right. But we do have to talk about this thing because everybody's got their own thoughts on it and whatnot, and bad timing. Is this bad timing? How do you feel about them literally chanting Thiago Motta, pezzo di merda, piece of shit? But they didn't hone in just on the coach, so we have to be clear about that. They literally went off on everybody, the players, to show their balls and actually play with balls. Management, that was absent, that has felt absent for quite some time. So they did distribute, the call outs and the shouts across the board. But how do you guys feel about this one? And let's kick things off with our new man here, Sev. Sev, what are your thoughts and feelings initially when you saw that? Now we're a day beyond. We're the next day, but the protests will continue apparently in the stadium for the match. But how do you feel about it, man?
I mean, I said this in the chat right away. It made my stomach hurt a little bit because it's not an embarrassing thing, but it's just not a good. The optics on it aren't my cup of tea. It kind of just makes us look bad. Do I disagree with them? No, I don't disagree with them at all. I wouldn't go as far as what they were saying, but I just think that the optics don't look right, and I think that there's better ways to handle it. There is. They have every right to do it. This is Juve, guys. This isn't like some third tier team or whatever. This is Juve. We have a certain reputation we need to like kind of uphold and act better. But yeah, just the optics in general just wasn't crazy about it.
Norby in our members chat, we know where he stands when it comes to the ultras, and for him to even be like, this is dumb. Protesting is okay. Calling the coach, a pezzo de merda is overboard, brutal, especially going into a game where even if it isn't speaking a lot to us and speaking more to the league, you have the opportunity to still make something interesting out of the rest of the season. Regardless of how our confidence level sits in them doing that or whatever, you have that opportunity there. Beyond the timing and what they're doing, it's strange. But Paolo, your thoughts on the whole thing?
I think the language is poor. Calling the coach names like that isn't great. Calling out the players, saying they have no balls, I mean, that's not great. I think they have a right to protest. I think it's good that they're out there making a fuss. Motta, I think the players not having balls is something I still have trouble with because I think the system overall with Motta has been a problem. And he hasn't put them in the positions to win, I don't think. But Motta's blown a couple of chances. He's blown a lot of opportunities during the season. He blew the PSV game. He blew the Empoli game. Sure, some of that's on the players, but the setups have been wrong. And he's got one more chance. He's got one more chance to save this season and put us in a position to prosper next year with the right opportunities. And I'm glad they went out there and gave it to him. The language, though, is a bit childish, but it made its point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you had how many days between games, like immediately after the Empoli debacle, which was brutal, all right? Attacking personally the coach, no, keep it along the same lines. If you're going to say to players, we like, show us your balls, like show us something in the games, let's keep it the same with Motta. I don't think we have to go directly to just personal insults, etc. Let's keep it around that and closer to what just happened against Empoli. There's too much distance, and now you've made it the day before a game that could actually put you with a victory 6 points out of the top. And these guys, like, the timing for me seems bizarre. But I'm going to be flat out, as we know where kind of everybody stands with the ultras and whatnot. Their significance for me is inside the stadium. And I'd also say that that's where you make your statements, and that's where you kind of go from it. This whole march yesterday, poor Giovanni Albanese couldn't even get any rest. They were outside J Hotel. This guy's got work to do today. Come on, think of Chief Wiggum there. But when you get to this thing,
did Milik get his rest?
Like, when you get to this thing, their significance is inside the stadium, and for me, they've been atrocious outside of the stadium for years now, and missed the mark and just seemed to be kind of tone deaf. What happened? Like, they were hugging this coach 8 months ago, praising and welcoming in with open arms, and now here we are 8 months later, and they're shitting on this guy, personally attacking him. I remember during the Allegri era, whatnot, Serie A or Serie B, we're going to be with you forever no matter what. Well, it seems not on the level right now, all right? So we need to kind of get the rally cries going and finish strong here, because there is something, despite us, all three of us kind of agreeing in the frustrations We can all agree in the frustrations around the game, around the team, around the players, around the coach. We can all agree on that. But right now, what stands is there's an opportunity for them to actually make something more of what we've seen so far and make things interesting. There's a motto we all know of, which is fino alla fine. All we want is the players and coach to embrace that down the stretch. Put your best foot forward down the stretch. See if we can make something interesting. When it comes to the coach, though, let's take what happened out of the scenario. The reality is, Motta's got a massive uphill climb for the fan base. Even if you're not speaking about the ultras. We put a poll question out there and it said, if we're going to keep this guy, do you want to keep him? Where are you at? And we had the options of the rumors that were out there in terms of Conte, Gasperini, etc., or another coach. We put 4 options out there. Number 1 was keep Thiago Motta. Number 2 was bring in Gasp. Number 3 was Conte. Number 4 was a different coach maybe you had in mind. 31% said keep Thiago Motta. 31%. And the rest was divvied up between Gasp, Conte, or somebody else. I saw many posts stating that a coaching carousel would be absolutely brutal for this team to go on. And we have to shut it down and we have to commit to Thiago Motta. Do we have to commit? Is a coaching carousel going to be a nightmare for us guys? Where are you at right now on this one? We'll start this one with Paolo.
You don't have to do anything. You're Juve and you have to, if you're going to do anything, find the best person for the job. I'm not convinced Motta is. I'm not interested in going through next year with the same issues and thinking, wow, this is the exact same thing it was last year. I don't think people intentionally try and create coaching carousels. In hindsight, you find after a couple of years, you have a couple of coaches, and that's part of the regrets of decisions sometimes. But you don't intend to get a coaching carousel going. Hopefully you find somebody, if it's not Motta, and you ride that growth for several years. But the P word, I don't believe in the P word, and I don't think Motta is the guy for the job.
All right.
I hope I'm wrong.
So he's in the 31% saying probably not. Sev?
Paolo, you said something last week that kind of like stuck with me. You said that in the beginning, you kind of were more of a not Allegri. You didn't really care who it was. And I was kind of with you on that. I mean, you know this, Berto. I didn't mind Motta. I would have rather a Conte or, I said Italiano, which would have been a circus now. But I think I agree. I got to be in that 31% and say we need somebody who, like you said, somebody with a CV, somebody who's got the experience, somebody who can handle the pressure, and somebody who has integrity. The thing that bothered me about Motta is he had that one magical year with Bologna last year, and look, now we're seeing it, right? Because Italiano's doing it without the players that he had, and I think they're the same points they were last year, right? More or less.
They're more. They have more points, I believe, at this point.
They have more points. Well, then there you go. So, yeah, I'm anti-carousel, but I think it's time. What if he makes top 4 this year?
Well, that's where
my head goes.
Is it dependent on that? Is it dependent on what if we finish higher? Because we possibly could, based on all the other teams' results. We could finish second. We could finish third. Does that matter? What are you basing that on personally?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'll get into this in a second here. I want to highlight something here when it comes to our coach and everything. Don't compare this situation with Allegri. Allegri loved and loves Juventus and would do anything for this club, unlike Motta. All I'm going to say is this. What has Motta done to disrespect Juve? The truth is absolutely nothing. And if you want to pick words, that would be, oh, this is not symbolic of the Juve DNA. Guess what? Giuntoli has said actually worse. Giuntoli started us off this year by making top 4 seem like a friggin' achievement. And if you wanted to bring in words, Allegri said some of the worst ones ever during his 3-year tenure. One of those sentences being, if I wanted to win, I would have gone somewhere else. He legit said that in an open fucking presser while at Juventus. So don't give me this shit about not comparing, because the truth is, they're both coaches of Juve. Allegri was over the past 3 years, and now Motta is now. You respect your men in charge. It doesn't have to go to disrespecting them. Even if I wanted Allegri gone, which I did. There's a thing about respect. There's a thing about optics. And again, to Forza's Juve's point, the Ultras don't represent the entire friggin' fan base. And they're kind of acting on some kind of moral high ground. And these are the same people that held the club for ransom. And that's all I got to say. This is not a Motta Allegri thing. This is nothing to do with that. You have a coach right now that you're trying to figure out if you want to go into the future with. I saw a long-winded post that said, he's a young coach. He's got us potentially within 6 points of top right now. He's had to deal with all these injuries. He's got players that are underperforming, that can't even take down a Serie B side in the squad we saw against Empoli, etc. And they were just fighting the fight to say, stop the coaching carousel. And this is why we're at this point of the discussion. What are you actually gauging on? Because my counter to that was, well, here's my list. Sketchy starting lineups that make no sense based on rewarding the players you should be. Awful substitutions the majority of the time. Lack of game plans and lack of adjustments. Weird rumblings. Way too much smoke around player treatment. And Giuntoli plays into that one too. You've got a plan A and no alternatives. One-trick pony potentially. And the bottom line is, you've got results. And results that have come, you've lost 14, 17 points, whatever the hell it is, from winning positions. And you've got brutal substitutions and plans and adjustments in those games. Those are the kind of things I look at. So for me, when Sev says top 4, does it matter? I don't really know. And when we're looking at Serie A as a whole, everybody else is tripping up. And it's making us look better and feel better about Serie A. But this is still a team that failed miserably against Empoli. And I will take that away from Motta because I don't give a shit who plays in that game against their scraps, second stringers, and Primavera. We should have won that game.
Can I add another PowerPoint to it? The stubbornness of Motta. Even during the game, like during in-game decisions, he's just stubborn. It's almost like he refuses to put Yildiz in that 10. And I had to ask you about it last week, Bert. I was like, were my eyes deceiving me? Did he actually at one point have him as a 10? And he did. And I was like, wow, it's going to snow tomorrow because the guy finally fucking moved him. And I was just like, come on.
It's
like,
tough.
That was my issue. It's the stubbornness, man. And
it's not easy decision, but there's a lot of things that kind of go against. And at the end of the day, whether we move forward with him or not, it comes down to what you're kind of gauging on him and how you feel. Gasperini as one of these guys. Would you take Gasperini over Thiago Motta?
Oof, that's a toughie. Paolo, you hit that one first. I don't even know.
I don't want these choices. Like, I don't want Gasperini as the future of Juve. But if you put both of them in front of me and say, pick one for next year, I'll take Gas. But I don't want him there. And I want Motta to succeed. But we've all watched Motta all year. And with our own eyes, we see what happens on the field. And that is why I can't feel confident with him because of what I see. And I gave a laundry list, whatever it was, a week or two ago, and it was almost like Dr. Seuss, somebody said, which was really funny. And it was like 25 things. And those were on management, those were on Giuntoli, those were on the players a bit, and a bunch of them were on Motta alone. Not a perfect scenario for this guy, but there's been blunders all year. And I have no faith. If I was in an organization and that was my guy and that was the result after a year and the way things have gone consistently, I would be a fool. I would be a complete fool to keep him around and hope it's different next year. And if it didn't, I'd deserve what I get for it. I just don't. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I unfortunately don't have any other reasons to feel any other way.
Out of the laundry list I gave just now of things I'm looking at, the one biggest one that is most important to me is progress. That's the one biggest thing. If I'm going to stick with this guy outside of this year, where's the progress from the beginning of the season to the end? And the injuries, I've said all year, take that out of the equation. Whatever players you have, there's no base, there's no foundation to our game. Period. There just isn't. That hasn't even been set up or established. That's a major problem for me. That's a major problem for me. We still lack chemistry up top no matter who the hell's up there. Where's the progress? If I'm going to feel confident in moving forward with you, I need to at least see that. And for anyone that's so comfortable moving forward, I don't see it. I don't see where that confidence is coming from. That said, now we get into the final 12 matches of the season. Could he change that? Yeah, of course he could. But my God, the confidence right now is low because we've only strung 4-game win together once this season. But it's going to feel like lightning in a bottle all of a sudden if he hits it. But can he? Of course he can. See, with this trust here, Motta is capable, and I trust him. There was glimpses of Motta's system this season where we absolutely dominated teams, and if he gets rid of his stubbornness, we can achieve great things. The glimpses and the flashes, I don't think are something that are only exclusive to him. I've said all season, for me, this team, even with the injuries, whatever, is capable of more than what we've achieved. We are underachieving, in my personal opinion. Are we underachieving for you? Based on the roster we have, and factor in the injuries, guys we've lost, I think there's a big stat line right there in the points lost from winning positions that tells you that we're not getting across that finish line for whatever reason.
I think it's going to look like underachieving because we have seen those glimpses, right? Like we have seen those flashes of, holy shit, like we're this kind of team. But those glimpses are so far and few between that this is where we are now. This is what gets us to this point where we're all pissed off. And you want to say what? From here on out, how many games are left? You said 12?
Yeah,
is it like is it like a probation? Is he on probation now? Is that what we're getting at now? Like it's basically he's on probation. Like show me the goods. Otherwise, that's it.
I always laugh too in the world of football when people say, "Oh, it's not enough time. It's not enough time." In the real world, when you go to a job, you have 3 months probation.
Yeah,
you have a 3 months probation period in real life.
Like put up or shut up. You said it yesterday. Put up or shut up.
Put up or shut up. We have the opportunity to make things interesting down the stretch. There's a couple things I am personally going to be looking for from the team and from Motta. We'll get into that as we preview today's game, everybody. Bits in the news. And Motta, by the way, is taking heat all over the place. Okay, all over the place. Moji even had to come in and say, Motta is a bit vain. He is first and the others are second. It's true that the team lacks leaders, but it's also true that many times players are used out of position. When they tell me about the injuries, it's the coach's mistakes that has brought the team to these levels. I would be ashamed of the coach, not the team. For Empoli, he should be ashamed of himself. The players got a man up there. I don't care. Like, you could be playing we could have played next gen, and I would expect them to get the result against that Empoli side. That was pretty bad. So Moji may be going a little bit over the top there, but that's okay. All right, he is very close to Skanga's age, so at that time, it starts to get away from you. Listen, he did say something about the injuries. And this is another thing that's concerning, that has been concerning us for years. Chico Cona is the latest to go down. Everybody saw the video yesterday, the daily update. There is a large group of the fans that are ready to say we are not going to redeem it. We should not, redeem Chico Cona. The injuries I've questioned for quite some time. We got into it a lot throughout the season, 2 months into the season. Are we overworking these guys? What's going on? You've seen guys gassed in starting lineups. They keep going out there in starting lineups. It's another reason where we've got eyes on Thiago Motta. But you think Motta's got a lot to play in the fitness of this group and the health status? What do you guys think?
Well, Douglas, right? Douglas is the first example of that. The guy's basically been injury-free. And he comes here and he hasn't had, 3 straight games in a row or something like that?
I don't think he has.
I said it to you, bro. I made a joke. This kit has Douglas on it. I've become the new jinx. Because this year I got Vlahovic, Douglas Luiz, and Cambiasso.
Ooh, oh my God, the trifecta. Holy smokes.
So I said, that's it. No more names on the kit.
That explains it.
There it is. There it is, everybody. We now know what the hell is going on. My God.
Oh, man.
That's shitty luck.
Juntly understaffed this team. We haven't had enough players on this squad all year. We start with a back four, and we barely have a back four solid starting group, regardless of injuries. So we've been understaffed the whole time. When you look at our play, one of the frustrations I've seen is he's got people really spread out high into the sidelines. He's got all this empty space. So these guys are running around like idiots most of the time, every game, waiting for those individual moments for these talented players to save his ass. No wonder they're getting injured, because they're overexerting their energy in the wrong ways. The ball's not doing the work for them. And I think there's a few things that contribute to the injury issues. And part of it is the way they play, the formation, and the thin bench.
Yeah, it's interesting when we get to this whole Chico Conceição thing. I mean, when we talk about the injury perspective, it's been a problem for years now. And when we're talking about Motta's involvement, I really got a question. I questioned it earlier on, like 2 months into the season, because I was like, why are we not able to play full 90s? Why are we looking pretty gassed? Why are we looking pretty flat for long chunks of the game? And when you see guys continuously go down, the other thing is too, something that hasn't happened in the past that's happened this year is the amount of re-aggravation that's happened in injuries. The amount of people that have had to go immediately back on the shelf after returning. And that's a major problem. And that's slightly different than what's happened previously, which might speak to the trainer that's come in with Thiago Motta that everybody's raved about from the summer, about how hard and how intense he trains and everything. Look, at the end of the day, what matters the most is how you enter those games. McKennie has been fucking dead for 3 games in a row. Dead man walking. Dead man walking. And it's evident. And if you're going to have to play him, if you feel like you have to play him, has there been alterations in the training for him back home? And nobody has asked. Nobody has asked these questions to them. And I guarantee you, he's probably training the exact same as somebody that's been glued to the bench for those 3 games.
Well, to piggyback
Piggyback
that, he's also playing 3 or 4 different positions at a time. So in one game he could play as a fullback, he's going to be doing a lot more running than if he's playing as a 10. So like his legs aren't there. Like you could just tell it right away. You could tell right away.
He's
And he
so
definitely
And he keeps
feeling
popping
the
them in.
effects of that extra slice of ranch pizza there because,
Yeah.
my God, man, he's going to have to give up that love.
But he keeps popping them
he
in
was-
and popping them in.
He's a wonderful player, and we need him, and we need his character, his energy, his attitude, his intelligence. But he was gassed against Empoli. He shouldn't have been playing more than 15, 20 minutes. And he's a guy who will work his butt off. And if you're putting him in the 10 and asking him to do 90 minutes of chasing all this shit in the middle while the field is way too spread out, you're going to get holes, you're going to get counterattacks, and you're going to have unmarked guys. I feel bad for McKennie because he's a gold mine. Give him a golden chair to sit in and give him every second day off, whatever it is. But they haven't prepared this team.
If you guys remember, he was one of the ones not part of the project. And look at him now.
Yeah,
You know?
he saved us a few times.
Now,
Yeah.
in the injury section of this Chico Conceição thing, for anybody that's used that against him and why we shouldn't sign him because he's been off a few times this year, I'm not worried about that part of it, okay? Especially when a lot of those people that were combating me on not worrying about this injury for signing the kid were throwing Jagrova at me, who is in the middle of one of the worst injury-riddled seasons of his career with 25-plus injury or 25-something games missed. No, stop it. Chico's here. When it comes to the play, this is where Chico's taken a lot of heat and the most heat as to why we should not re-sign him. I'm going to put this poll question in there because I got to see where everybody's at numerically, okay? And it's, do we purchase Chico? Yes or no? So you can fire away in there on that. But this is where he's taken the brunt of the heat. One trick pony. It's all dribbling. It's poor crossing, poor decision making, etc. He's been figured out, not effective, don't spend the money. I remind everybody, it'll be like 20 million euros on top of the 10 for the loan this year. Expensive loan at 10 million. But it's going to be like an additional 20. Sev, do we retain him? Do you want to see him purchased outright?
20 million isn't bad right off the bat. Money-wise, 20 million isn't bad. The one-trick pony thing, can't we say that about a lot of wingers? Like, like we used to say the same thing with I'm not saying the word, I'm just saying the C word. We said the same shit about him. The only one who's not a one-trick pony that I've seen lately is Yildiz. If you're going to play him as a winger. But I would do it for 20 million. I really would. Zagrova's going to cost you at least 30, right? Maybe 40?
25 to 30, maybe more.
Adeyemi, how much? Isn't it more or less the same?
Last summer they wanted 50.
Oof. Yeah, no. I think I would do it for 20. I'm in the minority here, though. I haven't... The last two games, all right, maybe he's trying a little too much, but we could say that about any winger on a team that's not creating. So they're all going to try to do too much. So I would do it.
Paulo? Purchase?
Yes, Ev, you nailed it. They're all trying to do too much. And the responsibility that Motta's put on these individuals to save a game, you can see it and feel it when they have the ball. How panicked they are with 15 minutes left. They're playing like there's 1 minute left and they're disorganized and chaotic. I think Chico's fine. If I'm a coach, I'm saying, look, if you don't get your head up sooner, if you don't cross sooner, if you don't pay more attention and use the guys around you a little more, I'm going to bench you until you get it. I think Chico's fine. Spend the 20 and take advantage of some of the magic he can bring.
Yeah.
He's young. Coach the guy.
See, and then we get Chico's my last option. I would rather buy Vega, Kalulu, or Kolo. Listen, that shouldn't stop any of that other business.
Not either or. It's
That's
not either
the thing.
or. Yeah.
That's not going to stop any of that other business. As far as your wingers go too, like you're bringing somebody in. This kid's already here. 68% say purchase Chico. And I'm going to say this. When we're looking at the faults that are thrown at Conceição, for me, are literally copy and paste and applied to our other wingers as well. Because of what? Because of what I just said earlier, which is a fucking game that has no foundation or base to it. These guys look one-dimensional and they look like one-trick ponies because they are, and they have turned into that because our game has no team game to it. It is give the ball to these guys and hope that they make something happen out of sweet fuck all. So if you're going to say Chico looks like a one-trick pony, he tries to do too much. He tries to take guys out. Yeah, and so does Kenan Yildiz. And so does Imbangula. And so on and so on and so on. And one of the reasons Nico Gonzalez looks worse than he actually is for us is because he doesn't have that style to him. He is not as good as a Yildiz or a Chico in beating guys 1v1 constantly. And that's why for the majority of the time, he actually looks like a worse player than he actually is. Our team game is non-existent. You want to bring in Vlahovic, who got shit on all season. And I said Kolo Muani will suffer from the same shit that Dusan Vlahovic does. He will be able to help himself more than Vlahovic is able to, which he's shown, but overall, your team game lacks big time. So for me, it's too hard on the individuals. I still see a youngster that's got a high ceiling, and for an additional 20 million euros, I don't think twice. And I'm still on board with Chico. When we get to the other guys, because we have news around the other guys too, and one of them is Kolo Muani. Are we dead set on Kolo? Is everybody dead set on Kolo Muani and purchasing him? New loan, 40 million obligation. Are we dead set on Kolo Muani? A flat out yes. Paulo?
No.
We got a no immediately here. You're a no? Elaborate.
No, because I think it's early. I think 40's a lot. I think he's gone a bit cold, and not to his own fault, because we know service to a striker is something that we haven't been able to provide enough of. I think he's made some magical moments on his own. That's not exclusive to him. That applies to every player who's bailed us out of every game so far. He likes to link up with other players, and I think he's magical in his intelligence and his footwork and the different ways he can hurt the opposition. He needs a coach and a system that will give him the support tools, players tight and close around him to undo defenses and create more. Lobbing it to him and crossing your fingers is just another thing that we got away with Vlahovic for a while, and we got away with it a bit with Muani. But until the system changes and until I think Moani's going to be better serviced, I don't know if 40 is the right amount of money for the right player for us. I do like him a lot, but it's still too early. There's a lot of holes in the bench coming up in the summer, and if we make Champions League, there'll be a lot of money to move around. I don't know if I'd commit to Kolo Muani just yet. I'd wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and
I like him though. I like him.
Yeah, he's right now the same right now as it stands with Chico at 68%. Sev, are you dead set on finalizing the move for Kolo Muani?
I'm not a no, I'm a not yet, if that makes any sense. Like we're kind of screwed with this whole situation, because if let's say he finishes out the season and let's say he has like a banger of these last like whatever games, price is going to go up. It's not going to be 40. PSG is going to want fucking whatever for it. It's going to be way too much. But then again, you're screwed, because then what's your options? We're already looking at for 25 million for Vlahovic, which that only puts how much in the books?
I'm not buying that. I can't see us selling him for 25.
Alberto,
but just straight up on Kolo Muani, like just numerically at that, if this was to go through, which is the hypothetical obligation at 40 million after one more new loan, are you a yes or are you a no? Why?
I can't answer it, because I'm going to say no right now. Let's put it that way. I'll say no for now.
Yeah. It's one of those things for me where I want to know kind of what the alternatives are. Yes,
Right.
he's here with us and has started off guns blazing. But I mean, my whole thing is we've left a lot to be desired at that role, not only from our own team game, but some shortcomings from Vlahovic himself, etc. But I'm not like 100% sold that, yeah, you've got to finish that deal. You've got to wrap that deal. I'm not there yet. I do like Kolo Muani. I think he's a pretty versatile player. I think he could be very, very strong for us moving forward, but I want to see options. I want to know all the details. I want to know his wage, like what gets worked out. Like there might be a possibility that I would like better. Let's see. But right now, 65% yes to Kolo Muani. I'm kind of with, I think the whole panel is kind of on the same spot where we're just saying, let's wait. Let's wait and see.
And Bert, we have individual pieces, right? And I really get annoyed as we try and pluck these individual pieces and see how they work together. It's been part of our issue all season. And if you were to put Yildiz behind Kolo for 12 games and see how the magic happens and bring your wingers in closer, then maybe you're like, yeah, I can see these four working really well next year together.
Exactly.
You plan a team around how they will work with each other because of the system you're designing to fit the right people into those right chemistry, tactical situations, game in and game out for the most part. And we don't have that. So we're plucking a piece in and saying 40 million, crossing our fingers, and it's foolish. And that's why I say no right now, because I just don't see how the evidence that it's going to work for him or us.
I just I want to see. The thing is, we will need a couple. All signs are pointing to goodbye there with Dusan. Milik is out into the abyss, everybody. All right, so nobody really knows. Nobody truly knows his whereabouts as the Bermuda Triangle got him. So we wait and see. The last one. We got news the other day, and people were sending it to me, and I said, pay no attention to it. And it was Yildiz. Bayern set to offer 60 million euros. Already working on a deal, but whoever decided to post this made a blatant error, which was they are working with his agent, Jorge Mendes. And we all know that's not his agent as of yet. All right, so he hasn't actually officially become his agent. So that whole report was a sack of shit. Okay, now, when it comes to Yildiz, 60 million, I'm not taking 60 for Yildiz. Are you taking 60 for Yildiz? Sev says no instantly. Paolo, no. Yeah. We got the answer for you at 60. Right here. All right. There.
Bro, now, I don't even know if I would take 100.
Oh, well, you would have to sit down at 100. You'd have to talk about it. I wouldn't be throwing a day at them if they came in with 100.
No. I'll be in the room. I'll sit like a little off to the side though.
I'll sit at the table. Waiting. I'll sit at the table and say, it's a good thing that pencil's got an eraser. We can scratch that up a little bit more. But I don't think that anybody is gonna come in with the numbers we want to see. And I don't think Juve's going to say goodbye for 60. And it's funny because you see some panic set in with some of the fans. You can even see it in some of the chat where it says, I don't trust Giuntoli for 60 million, that he wouldn't say no, whatever. I really, really don't think so. And one of the things we should talk about is one of the things I've been highlighting, and we spent probably 2-3 shows in a row. I really wanted to paint the picture for everybody financially, and this is one of the reasons why I feel more confident that they wouldn't jump on 60 for him, is because we got the report we were looking for on February 27th, and that is that we are 16.9 million euros to the good on the books for this moment. At season's end, all the final expenditures will be added to that, and we'll see taxes come in there. We should still end up to a negative, but it shouldn't be anywhere near what the hell we were at, okay? The big thing here is what this does. This is us, and this is incredible because this is a 112 million euro turnaround from the February report of last year. Minus 95 million last year at this point, positive 16.9 million. Say what you want about Giuntoli. That's been his major task. He's got it where he needs to be. The big thing when we talk about the players, it prevents us from doing shit we don't want to. And it starts to give you leverage because you can walk away. So all these sacrifices, all these things we have made, for me now, if you continue running down that path of saying goodbye to whoever, no matter what it means on the pitch, that's when you see me turn on that man. The second it goes to that level, that's where I say, no, you know what? This is bullshit. But up until now, I've agreed with it all. It all makes sense because I wanted to reach this point of home free financially where now we can make decisions properly and we don't have to jump at every single offer for a player because we need capital. No, you don't really need it. Now, you're working off your own accord. Hey, we don't see this guy fitting in our roster. We're going to sell him. We'll bring somebody else in. Now you're working clean. And if somebody comes in, you don't like that price, guess what? We're under no pressure to take it. We're fine. And we keep on moving. So it's a huge positive. Huge positive right there.
Yeah, like not saying yes to 12 million for Mbangula. Right now, you cannot have to do that because Juntali, he'll take cash. Like that guy's made moves. He's made some very fair moves to different teams for money. So avoid those situations.
And now this is why I say, for me, the judgment starts to ramp up a bit. Now that cloud, that excuse is kind of there, and it's not completely gone. We wait because at season's end is still going to be the negative bit, but we still have some big moves to come. There was a list that came out. Juntali's list. Okay? Almost feels like we're talking about Schindler's List here. Okay, so Juntali's list here, okay? Juntali's list. Gatti, Savona, Mbangula, Weah, Vlahovic, and I believe there was one more. These are all guys that are for sale. I immediately told you all, forget this thing. Don't pay attention to this. It was from Gazzetta, and Gazzetta was fueling this fire off of player relationship. And they missed the one key guy, Cambiaso. Not on that list, and that's immediately when I wipe it out because he is prime candidate for a goodbye. He's already got a deal made. He jumped on the first agreement he had an opportunity to, and he's going to be pure capital. Guess what? That's probably your sale that gets you home free and in the green. So don't buy into that list, everybody. But some of the other names on there too, like Nico Gonzalez was the other one. So Gonzalez, Savona, Mbangula, and Gatti. Gatti, I'm not buying it either because I don't think he wants to leave, and I don't think he will leave.
Why isn't Coop on that list?
Coop's in your starting 11. That's the list he makes week in, week out. We are going to get to that, but yeah, just don't pay a whole lot of attention to all this, everybody. We are going to get into this game before we have an on this day, everybody, March 3rd, and I'm going to take you way back. 1999. Sev had a hell of a lot more hair up top. He was probably in his clubbing days. Not quite that old, okay? But 1999, we had Juve in Champions League facing Olympiacos. And this was a victory for Juventus. Does anybody, and first of all, man, my boy, Edgar Davids. Look at the kit, too. Look at that kit. Fire. That kit, come on. One of my favorites. The tele-sponsor on that kit was phenomenal. We got any guesses on scoreline? Goal scores? This had an absolute banger of a goal in there, by the way. Absolute banger. Okay?
God. What was the date again, Berto?
March 3rd, 1999.
Oh, I was 18. Oof.
Look at that. We got a couple right guesses. You got Norbert in there with bang on. We got a 2-1 Juventus victory. This had a banger of a goal by Inzaghi. Lippo Inzaghi with an absolute banger. Cross from the left from Davids, and he wound up and he met it on the volley, like waist high, right into the short side corner. Unreal. And then Conte finished things off with a lovely goal. Davids finding Zinedine Zidane, who shielded the world off the ball, and then slots it over into Conte's path, and he takes a left-footed strike, low and hard, short side, and that got the job done for us. This was our lineup on that match day. Take a look at that. Peruzzi, I loved Peruzzi. I was a massive Peruzzi fan. Mirkovic, Uliano, never a PK, by the way. Uliano, we always have to state that one on R9 there. Never,
Look at
ever.
Didier in there. Oh my goodness.
Montero, Delivio was man, that guy would kill. He would die. He would die before giving you a blade of grass. Delivio. Mm-hmm. Davids, Deschamps, Conte, and Zidane in the middle. Diamond, are you kidding me?
Look how many coaches are on that.
Fonseca and Inzaghi.
How many captains are on that lineup?
Yeah, that's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. What a
And Inzaghi
lineup,
was
man.
onside. Inzaghi was onside, which was great.
Yeah.
Guy was born offside, but yeah, he was onside. He could have had, he finishes with one, could have had like 4 in this game. Ridiculous
If they had VAR
misses,
when
but
he was playing, oh my God.
I tell you what, if you ever get the chance, it's a cool game to go back and watch, actually, this one, and you could find it on like archive sites and stuff, but this was a cool one to watch. Good one for on this day. Now with that, we shift our focus to today, March 3rd, 2025, as we set to take on Verona, all right? And this is what we expect to see from them. As far as Verona goes, the visitors, they have suffered in recent meetings, losing 5 of their last 6 clashes with Juve while failing to score in all but one of those games. That said, Verona will take a little bit of confidence from their most recent league outing, a dramatic 1-0 win over Fiorentina. All right, that was a stoppage time goal from Bernardi. It was only their second goal in 7 matches, everybody, okay? And they have struggled for consistency, but they have remarkably won 3 of their last 6 away matches, matching their total victories from the previous 25 road games. So, I mean, okay, they could take a little bit out of that. They come into this clash with several key players sidelined as well. And we learned from Empoli that means sweet fuck all as well. So there's that, okay? But they are going to be without Swat Serdar and Abdu Haroui. They remain unavailable, and Martin Frezi is also ruled out, their defender. The biggest blow for them is probably absence of their top scorer, that's Tengsted. He's going to miss out due to injury, leaving them with some limitations as far as the attacking options go. When you look at their lineup, here it is right here. Dawidovic, Diego Coppola, by the way, who has been linked with Juve and apparently a player we are keeping eyes on. I missed Montipo in goal. Hopefully he's a non-factor today. Valentini, that's your 3 CBs. Obviously, you could see they're playing like a 3-5-1-1, 3-5-2, call it whatever you want. Jackson Chachua, he's a name Juve has been linked with as far as a potential future target. They said that there was direct links between Giuntoli and his entourage back to this October. You got Nias, Duda, Bernardi, who was that goal scorer against Fiorentina, Bradaric, Suslov, and Sar up top. That's going to round it up for them. And again, key players missing for Verona. Will it matter? Oh, fuck. I hope so. I hope so that it hurts them and we could take advantage. Okay? When we get to Juve, we know Conceição's out, Luiz is out, Savona's out, and Vega's out. We get good boost because Kalulu's back in the lineup. He's back with the squad list. So, hey, our boy Luca Natale said it best. When it comes to the Bermuda Triangle, it will give you back a soul, but it has to claim another one, all right? So it gives you back Kalulu, but it took Chico. So there you go. For us, listen, we get into our thoughts about this because everybody's talking about the fact you could be 6 points out of top. Everybody's kind of tripping up. And does that speak more to the league? I'd say so, rather than us and our form this season. But the fact remains, for us, It's simple. I'm not talking about my confidence level in them, but in terms of what they need to do, if you can't pick yourself up and realize that despite this year, what's in front of you, you could finish up with your heads held high. It should be about your pride. It should be about the fact that I didn't need Giuntoli to go out to a microphone and give me the PR spiel. People needed that. Everybody said they needed that. I need him to talk. I mean, yeah, you need to address everybody, but what I'm concerned about most is that when shit hit the fan back home and you had a guy like Agnelli there, it was a full meeting. Not just fucking players and coach. Like, it was, we're getting the hot dog vendors in here. We're getting everybody. Like, I want everybody to fucking know what we are all about and who we are. That's the difference. I needed Giuntoli to read the riot act a long time ago to all these guys, Motta and the players, everybody sitting in front of them and say, guys, this is unacceptable. Right now, it's evaluation time. You've got 12 games down the list. This, for me, is make or break. And I see who's got the balls, who's got the heart to stick around and represent this team moving forward. And that's all I'm looking for. That's bottom line. If you can't pick up your sense of pride for this and this finish to give it fino alla fine and see what happens, then you're not made for this kit. Period. And that's everybody. And Motta, how does Motta fall in line for that? Because he, for me, needs to bank on the right fucking guys. And stop hanging yourself on the guys that are not rewarding you. Do you guys agree with that and my statement on this?
1000%. 1000%. Put these motherfuckers in check. Put them in check. That's it. Earn the shirt. Earn the shirt. These are dope shirts this year. Earn it. Earn it.
Yeah, that's the part that kills me is all our gear is so friggin' nice. The
Right.
yellow one, okay, let's give it a pass, okay, but still, like, let's go. Paulo, you agree with me that now is the time where final evaluations will ramp up, given the turmoil, given the chaos? Like, this is probably the best representation of these guys moving forward because it's always going to be chaos around Juve. It's always going to be turmoil around Juve. The expectations are high. Like, this is now make or break for these guys.
Yeah, I agree, but there's a big but there for me. The big but is I don't think he's put these guys in a position to be their best and mitigate their weaknesses all year. And right now, I just don't even like this formation. Like, I would put Locatelli as the single above the four and get Coop Miners off to the right and Thuram off to the left and move those wingers up, and I'd flip Gonzalez and Yildiz. So just because he puts these guys out there, whether he picks the right players or not, to me is just part of the issue. I just don't even like the formation. So I hope so. I hope the players step up and save him again.
And this is the thing for me. So immediately, as I said, you're going to be judged on banking on the right guys. It's going to be critical for you. And immediately we see that it's probably going to be Cope Miners in a 10. That hasn't worked once this year. You've got Nico Gonzalez. These two guys, for me, were so fucking bad against Empoli. That second string lineup against Empoli, that like you are not getting rewarded after we've had 5-6 days of rest from that game to this one. You're not getting the start. I'm sorry. That was well below par. You're just not getting it. So you might be a little bit skinny there because Chico's gone out. You've got Imbangula. I would gladly play Imbangula. If it's up to Cope Miners at a 10, I'm sorry. Play McKennie and flatten out your midfield. He doesn't have to be a 10. Flatten it out and go 4-3-3. And you could get away with that, and I'd be just fine with it. Use Thuram and McKennie to both move up the pitch and support the attack evenly. It just, you're banking on guys, again, that have let you down time after time. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
But he's playing him in the wrong spots, man.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I get it, but at the same time, I'm mad that Coop's not a 10. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, you could put Yildiz in there, give Coop a break if you want, put Mbangala on the left side, and put Gonzalez on the right to give him a chance to play a position where he's probably a little more comfortable.
I would even play Adzic. Like, I'd be fine to see Adzic as a 10. He's a natural 10. I'd have no problem with it if you're going to do that. But force feeding something that hasn't worked all year makes absolutely zero sense.
Well, this goes back to the stubborn thing. It's the stubborn thing. Like, he's going to die on a hill with Coop. He's just going to die. I don't know. Is it a money thing? Like, what is it? What is it that you guys think that he just...
Well, and this is what is coming up, is some are saying that it's clear the board is making the calls on the lineups and certain guys are getting in. I'm not buying that for a second. I'm not buying it for a second.
Really? So the board didn't want Yildiz to play 4 games in a row? Like, come on, give me a break.
I'm not buying that for a second. I just won't. It's got to be, you got to bank on the right guys. And I'll go as far to say that Cambi, and I've said it before, but like, if Cambiasso keeps playing the way he has, he's become a liability. And I would have no problem in this game putting myself in at right back and moving Weah over to the left, because he's played left or right, up and down, when he was in the French league. I'd even do that. Like, let's get some fresh legs. Let's get some energy. Let's get something out there, because Cambiasso needs to wake up, and like now. Otherwise, he's just cementing that first move for Juntali. Juntali's probably each game being like, oh, the fans aren't going to hate me for this one. They're not going to hate me for this one, because he's turning into a liability. And that's the reality of it.
Bert, one thing on Coop, which occurred to me, and I may be totally wrong because I'm not him and I'm not in that locker room, obviously, but Coop seems to me like a really thoughtful, smart guy. He seems like a very sophisticated player. He can be. He's got a lot of intelligence, and he seems very calm. And maybe he's been so loyal to Motta that Motta's kind of repaying him for that kind of, I don't know, maybe Motta looks at Coop and says, you're not the problem, Coop, let's just stick with you. You know, maybe there's some kind of loyalty he's getting from Coop, if there is some kind of dressing room drama. I don't know.
I don't understand it. I don't understand any of it, really.
Wasn't he a captain for one game? Didn't he make him a captain?
He did, yeah. We passed that thing around like a Wanda.
Has he shown any leadership? Has Coop shown any leadership? Any? Come on, man.
Earlier on, he did a bit. But again, guys put in bad positions.
And I will say, like, there's been a shift there. There's been a shift from, and it was going to happen. I called it. I said the longer that this goes on, that he struggles, and Motta doesn't kind of remove him and start him, like, trying to ease him back into things and keeps force feeding things, I said it's going to get worse. It has gotten worse. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen Coop kick a ball off his own fucking face like he did against Empoli. I would have never thought a player like that. Like, it's gotten brutal. It's gotten embarrassing. And that's because he continuously gets force-fed. That is bad coaching. You need to get this guy, pull him back, and like ease him back into things, because now, to Paulo's point, there has been a shift. There's been a shift where you could tell now he knows he's not at a point to lead, because it just doesn't line up. You can't lead and be a rah-rah guy when your own performance is in the shitter. That doesn't work. So
it's gotta suck, man.
It's uphill. It's uphill for these guys. Now, with all that said, we're gonna get to predictions. We're gonna get to key stats around this game. Okay, so Juve have won. We talked about it. 5 of their last 6 Serie A matches against Hellas Verona, keeping 5 clean sheets in that period. Okay, Hellas Verona are the team against whom Juve have played the most home games without losing in Serie A history. The Bianconeri have won 28 and drawn 5 of their 33 previous meetings in Turin. Juventus have won 4 consecutive Serie A matches for the first time since December 2023 and January 2024. My God, that is awful. That's awful, okay? But, again, 4 in a row. Woo! And then you get to Juve have won each of their first 3 league games at the Allianz Stadium in 2025. A win against Verona would mark the first time they have won their first 4 home matches in a single calendar year since 2021. That's kind of surprising, to be honest, but there you go. And after their victory against Fiorentina in their most recent outing, Hellas Verona could win 2 Serie A matches in a row for the first time since March 2024, with the victims being Sassuolo and Lecce. Please do not add us to that list today, Juve, okay? Please do not mess with me on Monday. I see a lot of questions about a watch-along. Stay tuned. I was planning on doing it 100%, but I did get a call into work, so let's just see how that goes, everybody, okay? So just stay tuned. I'm working on it. I'm trying my absolute best to keep it going. As far as the official, we got to set the Tony, all right, with this guy. Matteo Marchetti, 41 appearances in Serie A. Beautiful. 4.1 yellows per game. 10 reds in 41 appearances. 15 PKs in 41 appearances. We could have ourselves some interesting situations here. It's time for the prediction challenge. You guys know the drill. It's final score. It's 2 tiebreakers. Sev, with your debut, give us the honors. Let's go. Final score, 2 tiebreakers.
Well, I will say this. If they lose this game, I feel bad for whoever's doing the post game tomorrow, because it should just be put some metal music on in the background and let's all just start moshing. Because
it's gonna be this man. Pulling the pin and hucking the grenade, man.
I'm going to say this, 2-0, and if they give up, I don't even want to give up a goal. Like, nothing. It's got to be straight up 2-0, 3-0. Prove something. Do something. Prove it. Explode. I want to see screaming after each goal. 2-0, I'm going to go with a Kolo and a Nico goal.
All right.
And the Nico goal will be off of a corner kick.
Set piece. All right. Paolo, you're up, man. We got Sevs in there. 2-0. Kolo, Nico, a set piece. What do you got?
I always start with a tie, man. I've been saying all year, I'll believe it when I see it, and I don't ever see enough of it. However, fuck Motta. However, I'm going to go 2-1 because even though I think our defense has been pretty good this year in spite of everything, I think we might give up a weird one. So I don't trust us completely. I think we can put 1 or 2 in. I think the win is possible for sure. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I don't want to poop on all this. So I'm going to say 2-1. I think Kolo's going to score. I agree with Sev on that one. And I am still going to say something I don't believe, which is Kelly off a corner pops it in.
Holy, you guys are both going with set-piece goals. How many set-piece goals have we got this season?
Well,
that could be the time, maybe. Ooh, okay, so let's see. Where are we at here, everybody? Where are we at? 1-1. Extra time penalty goal. My God, could you imagine if it went to extra time? Maybe. But feels like a 1-1. 3-0. Coat Miners hat trick to shush the fan. Well, you know what? Okay, let's go. Let's go there, Coat Miners. 1-1 is my prediction. Until these players prove me otherwise, I'll continue to be negative. Fantastic. 4-0 win. 0-0. Oh, my God.
0-0. Wouldn't that be awful? Oh, my God.
Jesus. Hey, actually, I gotta storm the barn for that one, 0-0.
At least no PKs. Thank goodness.
What's that?
No PKs. Thank goodness.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory. I think we will be able to hang on to the clean sheet. And it sucks that I'm second guessing it against Verona. That is also missing key players. But I saw what the hell happened against Empoli, where we had this guy, this Mutt Male looking like prime freaking Camoranesi out there, and we made him look so damn good. It's just a joke. So I'm sketched out, but I'm going to go 2-0. I'm actually going to say that Thuram scores again. Our best player, best midfielder, hands down. I'll say he gets on the board. And I think Kenan Yildiz scores. So I'm actually going to say that those two guys get the goal. It's going to be 2-0. It's going to be 2-0 in the first half. And the second half, just relax, everybody. Kick back and get ready for the bus, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be shutdown mode all second half, flat, ugly, garbage. But we'll get the job done. We get it done in the first half. That's my prediction. And if I'm wrong, you know where to be tomorrow morning, and you can harass me for it there. But let's get to victory. We're all predicting that. Let's get to Storm the Barn. My Storm the Barn for everybody in here. 0-0. PK came out and said that teams shouldn't get anything for draws as far as points go. And he said that, like, games that end 0-0, etc., like, these teams should all... He made it sound like almost he wanted these teams fined, all right? But he said that they should not see any points for draws in hopes of forcing the game to open up so that you could get results. How do you guys feel about that? No teams getting points for a draw.
That's stupid.
I don't like it, and I think if they're going to change anything, there's so many other things to change than that rule. That's
interesting. It's interesting to get the... Do we need the game to open up? How many teams are like really playing for draws? You usually see a team try to push. The stronger of the team will usually push for that winner anyways. Like, I don't see it any differently. Yeah, games will end in draw, but I'm like, to take the point away? Fuck. Could you imagine how shitty we would be this year if they took draw points away? Holy Christ.
How many times have we all said that some of these coaches actually play for the draw? Like, they just want to, if they're on the road and they just want to steal a point and go, get out of there, that's going to take that philosophy right out of it. Yeah. So what are we doing? Allegri used to do that all the time. It drove me nuts.
Yeah,
he used to play for draws.
Yeah, no. We gotta keep the draw points for sure until we can get
We'd
some
be in relegation.
With all the flop talk, I want to ask you, who was the biggest surprise when it comes to our signings that performed much better than you thought he'd do and turned out to be a great player for us? Are we talking... I think we're talking all time, not just this roster, but who was the biggest surprise for signings? Well, let's go this roster and maybe historically. Guys have name ready?
This year, I'd say Kalulu's definitely up there for me.
And Thuram's an easy one, too. I thought he would be pretty good, but I was surprised at how much better he's got game by game. So, and the value for him is, like Kalulu, has been excellent.
Yeah, I loved the Thuram signing. Big signing. I had faith he would be good for us. Not to that degree, where I'm actually saying flat out our best midfielder, hands down. That's crazy. That's pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that. So I'd probably have to say he's the easy bet there for that one. A lot throwing in Savona. Couple throwing in Savona there. Vega making
Vega's another one, yeah.
Getting a couple there. January signing there. Loan. Yeah. Probably go with those. Thuram, I'd say, is probably the easiest. If we're going outside of this season, trying to think of a player that surprised you. Pogba's first stint, be hard not to go that route. Even Vidal. I would say Vidal for me was out of fucking nowhere.
I was thinking Pogba, but wasn't Pogba supposed to be good?
Well, we got him he wasn't completely free, right? There was like a tiny fee on there or whatever, but practically free. Mandzukic is a good shot. Pogba was not supposed to be like that. Was crazy what Pogba did, but so was Vidal though. And Vidal had a light fee to him, but he became like this box to box monster.
He was fun.
Yeah,
he was
Vidal
crazy.
was fun, and I loved his hair, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
Vidal was for the Vidal
He was a
Juve years were
beast.
just sick, man. I mean,
Well,
he was
Marquisio,
awesome.
Pirlo, Vidal,
That team
Pogba
was
coming
just
out
insane.
of nowhere.
What
That team
crazy
was
players.
insane.
That was
I almost
crazy.
feel like Vidal hit his peak with us because he wasn't that good before and he wasn't that good after he left us. And when he went to Inter, it killed me.
Yeah. Paid the development fee on Pogba. There was a slight fee there. Even Barzagli was another. Like, I mean, what are we talking about? Kind of had a similar question on the last one too there. Storm the barn, Ori, with everyone but the ACL buddies fit. How do you guys see your best Juve defense looking for the rest of the season? So we just take away Cabal and Bremer. What would be your 1A lineup for the back line? Easily Gatti and Vega.
Yeah.
For me as center backs.
And you guys know this. I always used to kill Weah, but as a fullback, he won me over, man. He is so much like that's. But you talk about surprises. How good he's been as a fullback is a huge surprise to me.
He's.
I didn't like him too much as a winger, but you got to go with him in that back four. The question is, do you go with McKennie or I can't believe we're actually going to say this, or Cambiaso as your left back?
I'd like to go Cambiaso. I'd just like him to wake the fuck up. But I'd probably go that route. Any changes there, Paolo?
I agree with Cambiaso. You got to get that guy going again. He's fantastic when he's on his game. On the right side, I too was incredibly impressed at how Weah looks on the right. I like him more as a right back than I do anywhere else. And that's a compliment to him because he's had wonderful moments playing up. But I would like to see Kalulu on the right and not to sacrifice Weah anywhere, but ideally you get those four in there and wow.
There was a couple opportunities to see Weah at the left side, and I would have liked to see him. There was a couple games I made a shout. He has a rocket of a shot. If you get him, if he can play with the same attitude, aggression on the left side and be able to cut in for his shots from that position, he might even be more effective to the overall. He's done it just as he did right back. He's been able to play left back. If you could get Kalulu out on that right, I'd like to see it. But overall, my hope is that Cambiaso wakes up. So
did we see really quick? Did we see Kalulu as a fullback at all
for like two brief
before
moments.
Bremer got hurt? Right?
Yeah. But and again, it's too small sample size to say if it's better than Weah. Weah's doing really well at right back right now. So
we're so lucky. We are so lucky. He's really done well.
Does Motta in year 2 bring stability and motivation to this roster? I'm not convinced that he can do so. Stability and motivation. So this is what sucks for me is how much time we have spent talking about bare minimum shit and praising players at Juve this season for bare minimum. Like, oh, he works hard every game though. That should be across the board. Like when you're using that to select a player above another, that really shows you how shitty we've come in terms of energy and motivation in games. And we've seen it from one half to the next. But that's in its own a fucking knock if we're spending that much time being like, oh, but he's working hard. They should all be working hard. So it tells you that for me, I have little confidence in the motivation side of things as a whole. And year 2, I'm not ready to talk about year 2 with anybody right now. Okay?
I can't
Go
even talk about
Miners,
next
Nico.
week.
Like, I'm not ready to talk about year 2 with any of these guys. Okay? Take care of business right now. But what do you guys think from the motivation standpoint? Do you have the same frustrations as me?
I think we're looking at the bare minimum, and that's what pisses us all off. It's like the bare minimum has now become like the highest thing. It's like when Giuntoli said months ago, "Oh, our objective is top 4." No shit. Like, no shit. Your objective should be top 2. if anything, battling for that Scudetto. Like, the motivation thing should be, of course we need motivation. That should be like the first thing off the bat that we shouldn't even be talking about it. That's how I feel. Like, it's what are we talking about here? Like, there's so many other things we should be talking about and we don't, because we can't even get these players motivated. It's a joke.
Every game should be approached with the mindset to win, the outset to win. Paolo, anything to add on the motivation factor from Motta?
I'd park motivation for a sec and talk about stability. I think if you were to look at Motta next year with a more complete lineup and a healthy lineup, so more bodies and healthy bodies, I think you get more wins than draws. Some of those draws this year become wins. So I think you get some stability there. Motivation against Empoli, in that I get so frustrated with what Motta says after every game. He said, I'm ashamed, blah, blah, blah. And then he kind of threw the players under the bus too. So I don't think he's going to get motivation from anybody. And I think that's his whole approach, I think, is part of the problem as a leader in that club. So I don't think motivation is going to come from him.
Yeah.
We're unprepared when we go into games as well. I don't see motivation being part of what we get in the second term.
There you go. We're going to keep it rolling here. We're going to try to machine gun some of these because we got a bunch in there. Again, watch along, stay tuned. We'll see. How did we recruit Skanga? The guys out east there on the East Coast saw, unfortunately, an old man just walking around the park trying to feed birds some bread with no pants on, and they tried to help him out. And luckily, he ended up being a Juventino. He was a Juve fan. He was named Skanga. We found his home and his pants and took care of him, and he decided he would repay us with some appearances on the show. But no, Skanga, like many, it was just he was in here all the time in the chats and everything, just like everybody else. And we were fortunate enough that he wanted to take part and he wanted to be a part of it and whatnot. And Skanga is a beauty. Yes, he is a legend. He's our, he's pretty grumpy. He's like our resident Karen of the HAC. He's kind of like our Karen there. He gets pretty fired up. He's always kind of grumpy, whatever, but he calls it how he sees it, and we love him for it, all right? So there you go. Now, biggest thing I have against Thiago Motta is the fact he can't get the best out of our top players. Cope Miners, Luis, Duchamp, and Cambiasso have all regressed. Just compare those guys' statistics with last season. Yeah, I mean, it's one of several frustrations that we've had with this guy. It's just there's a long list of frustrations, and the players on their own accord aren't separated from that. It obviously hasn't been put together the best, and we can all admit that. Players have their part, coach has his. I don't really know what else to say other than, where's the separation lie? For me, if you get games where the majority is on these guys and piss poor execution, and we are in positions to win, they kind of have to take the brunt of, like, that Empoli game is very hard for me to put against Motta. But the reality is that a lot of our games where we fail is guys kind of out of position, tinkering that might not make the most sense, and poor game plan. Not matching up to your opponent in the best possible way. And then it comes down to getting absolutely run over and no plan for it. Stuttgart absolutely ran us. PSV absolutely ran us in their home. And it's just like, what's our game plan? What's our strategy, right? So there's a lot of other things. But we've kind of nailed it in. And Thiago Motta, whatever's going to happen, we wait and see. I'd like to ask you on a confidence level, because obviously Giuntoli came out and gave him full ban. His job is not in question. Heard that before. Do you think he remains? Do you think it actually has anything to do with where he sits in the table? Because a lot of the rumors behind the scenes are that it's already been decided. How confident are you Motta as the coach next year on a scale of 1 to 5? Or are you willing to say top 4? It's a 5 out of 5. He's staying.
Top 4, he's a 5 out of 5, in my opinion. What
You
I
think
want
top
that,
4 and he stays for sure?
yeah, because you're
All
not going to
right.
be able to justify it, right? If you do get rid of him, and
Of course you
You know,
can.
to the-
We fired Sarri after winning.
oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot about that one.
Has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, if he wins, if he stays top 4, I think he'll stay.
Paulo, does it matter?
I'm not confident it matters, because if we do finish top 4 and they've got money, they got Champions League, they've got loan players to decide on, they've got lots of spots on the bench to bring in new players. If you are going to make a coaching move, the coach can come in and start to tinker with the lineup, add some players that they think are needed, make the adjustments they need for what their plan would be. And I think Giuntoli is going to have a hard look and say, am I ready to do this again? And I think the summer's going to put an opportunist like Giuntoli, it's going to give him a lot of options. So I'm not convinced top 4 guarantees anything.
There's a lot of
For
things
Motta.
here in play too, like how tied to it is Giuntoli. Is this like an admission of fault and whatnot? Because a lot of people think Giuntoli needs to go with Thiago Motta. I'm not quite there. And I brought up the scenario of if we fired Beppe Marotta when he brought in Del Neri, for God's sakes, we would have lost out on one of the best sporting directors for the rest of that period, which was an insane period for Juventus. So I'm not at that point with Giuntoli, but it's something to think of. It's like an admission of fault, failure from his part, because he brought that guy in. And he got rid of, Max, etc., who again, not saying he should have stayed, but there's a lot to weigh into this. I'm like a 2.5 out of 5 that this guy's the coach next season. And I'm leaning towards the fact that I think it's decided. And I think that there's candidates that are going to be available that are maybe going to be hard for us to pass up. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think Giuntoli's going to hesitate throwing Motta under the bus if it means he gets a better look at next year.
Yeah.
He won't hesitate.
That's another way to look at it too. And
play
meanwhile,
Motta.
in the background of all of this stuff, we're hearing that Agnelli is talking with Tether. Remember I told you Tether and that company that came in and they were saying some interesting words about the partnership and everything? There's a lot of rumors that Agnelli's sizing up this move to buy in a lot quicker. All right, let's just see. Let's see what happens. Could be a lot of shakeups. Next Juve player you want to get a kit with his name and number on?
Not me.
I've already got it. Kefren Turam.
I'm done jinxing these.
I'm
done jinxing these players, man. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I had to buy. You see the Lichtsteiner shirt behind me? I had to buy that way after he left because if I would have bought
you're
it, then,
done, man. Stop it. Stop it. Just get him blanks. Can't do it anymore. Next Juve player you want to get, I've already got the one I wanted, which was Kefren Turam. That's the one. If you could purchase everyone but one, who is the odd man out between Kalulu, Kolo, Chico, or Vega? All right, now we're talking.
That's a good one.
So you get to redeem all of them except one. Who's the odd man out?
Kolo for me.
Kalulu for me.
I want to say Kalulu, but I don't know enough about Vega. I need to see more Vega.
Yeah, for me, the center backs were hurting, and we need guys. And Vega was solid.
Yeah.
So I'm easy there. Chico for me, I stand firm. This guy's ceiling is high as hell. I'm sticking with him. I think the team game sucks. Kolo Muani, we're gonna need strikers. Kalulu, he's not a true center back. You got right back, but we have coverage. Yeah.
Paolo, I'm sorry. Did you say Kolo, Paolo?
Yeah, because I want 8 really good players in that goddamn backfield all year. I want 8 guys who can go in there and do the job and get a 0-0 every goddamn game if it comes down to it. Like the old Juve who you could never score on. Ever score on. I want that solid. And Kolo, he's 40. And I think we talked a bit about some of the unknowns still. Love the guy, but get me those 8 at the back.
Yeah, Kalulu or Kolo, I guess. We got Chico. We got Vega. We got Kalulu or Kolo. Damn, Chico. Yeah, it's interesting to see where everybody stands here. We've got a couple more, but we're running tight on time, everybody, and it's match day. We need a victory here. We got to get things sorted out here, but we do have to do this one because it worked out well for us before, and we're gonna see if we can bring in some more good luck. And who gets the preliminary day today as far as Verona's lineup goes? And let's take a look here. So Bernardi was the one that scored against Fiorentina. Coppola, it's got to be someone at the back line that we can absolutely destroy. The Widowich. Valentini, who should be sizing up the side that Keenan Yildiz is going to be on. I did call Yildiz for a goal. So, Valentini, you know what? You got one, buddy. There's yours right there. All right? Right there. Let's go with it.
Do an honorable mention for that Batterich guy. He looks like an asshole. I don't know him, but look at him. He looks like a fucking, look at him.
Oh my God, that's funny. I was gonna say a guy like Duda sounds like doo-doo, and I could see that guy doing doo-doo all over the field. He's gonna be butchering people. He's gonna be falling and complaining.
I also see we've got a Lazio fan in here, Sven, that threw a storm in the barn. They're trying to make jokes out here, which is hilarious because the club in its own is a joke. Nice of you to take a break from looking at the catalog of penile implants to join us for the chat today, all right, pal? Take it easy, though, all right? We're not finishing in 5th. You guys will finish below us. I promise you. All right? Now, everybody, we got to wrap things up there. Great show. I had a lot of fun. Sav's debut. All right. So great having you on. Great bringing you in, Paolo.
Awesome. Thank
Pleasure
you guys.
as always. Everybody in the chat, you guys, do whatever the hell you do that brings good luck. We thought it was going to be the pink kits for the preview shows, but that didn't work against Empoli. So I'm done with those for the pregame. Okay. Maybe it's a new track top there with the third. Okay. They are going to be playing in the third kit today. Don't fuck that up. Don't ruin that on a Monday, okay? Top of the week, wearing that beautiful kit. Let's take care of business. Let's get the job done, all right? Tomorrow morning is the post-match show, where hopefully it's a victory show. As far as today goes with the watch-along, stay tuned. I'm going to try my best, all right? As always. Oh, hold on a second. Mitch says you keep skipping. I'll get to it then, okay? Let's finish on this one. We lose today, is Motta gone? Yes or no? Is he gone today if we lose today?
I don't think so.
He's not, but I'd do it. Bring in Paulo Montero and just move on.
Montero. Oh, man. He's not, but I would do it. I think he's gonna finish the year out at this point. I mean, if that Empoli won on the back-to-back Champions League Coppa Italia bounce to that Empoli didn't do it, I don't think this will do it. So, yeah, I think we're going towards the end. But that wraps things up. You guys enjoy the match no matter what. I hope that we'll reconvene 20 minutes before kickoff for the watch-along. Stay tuned for that. If not, tomorrow morning. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Remember, this is pride on the line. This is time for all of you to be under evaluation. Show us something. Show us that you understand what it means. Motta, I hope to see some tweaks on that lineup. Stop banking on the wrong damn guys. But more importantly than anything, just win, damn it. Let's go. And Verona,